Hello and welcome to this breaking WrestleTalk news video. I am Luke Owen DAD, and well, yeah, as the title and thumbnail suggest and tell you, apparently, reportedly, according to Ringside News, Shane McMahon has been quietly let go from WWE just a few days after returning at the Royal Rumble. It's been a bit of a whirlwind week or so for Shane McMahon news. On Friday, it was reported by Ringside News. You know, like we always say with Ringside News, take it with a pinch of salt. However, a lot of the stuff that has come out in recent times has been verified. You know, they were the ones who reported Shane McMahon was going to be in the Royal Rumble. They also reported that Bad Bunny was going to be in the Royal Rumble. And that was on the Friday. So their source in creative told them on Friday, Shane McMahon is going to be in the Royal Rumble. And then he was. He returned to WWE, having not been seen since WrestleMania when he lost to Braun Strowman, I think. I'm pretty sure he did. As he made his return to WWE in the Royal Rumble. And I think a lot of fans' speculation was that if he was going to be in the Rumble, it would be something around Austin Theory, because Austin Theory is doing this storyline with Vince McMahon. So it kind of makes sense for Shane and Austin Theory to do something. That never happened. Shane McMahon was in the final three of the Royal Rumble. It was Shane, Brock, and Drew. Consider that for a second. Shane McMahon was in the final three of this year's Royal Rumble. The following day, some news stories started to come out that Shane was a nightmare to work with around the Royal Rumble, openly burying the producer, Jamie Noble. He was apparently very difficult to work with because he was trying to build the Rumble around himself. And Dave Meltzer then reported yesterday that Shane McMahon was pitching a lot of ideas for what he wanted to do in the Rumble and to set up his matches for Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. What he wanted to do was have a feud with Seth Rollins. He wanted to have Rollins go into the Rumble. They would set up a feud between Shane and Rollins inside the Rumble match, and then that would continue at Elimination Chamber and then would conclude at WrestleMania. Apparently, I think it was Ringside News yesterday said that Shane McMahon was originally planned to be inside the Chamber match that's happening in Saudi Arabia in 3 weeks, where Bobby Lashley defends his title against Brock Lesnar, AJ Styles, Riddle. Who's the other one? Rollins and Austin Theory. And apparently Austin Theory was the replacement. So it was originally Shane McMahon, and that was instead moved to Austin Theory. So you've got all of this sort of stuff. And apparently as well, the idea was, Dave Meltzer would know this as well, that at day one, the original plan was for Seth Rollins to win the WWE Championship. And he wasn't sure, he didn't quite get clarification whether or not Shane's big pitch for his WrestleMania match with Seth Rollins would have been for the WWE Championship. So it's kind of like, you know, Rollins wins the belt at Elimination Chamber, then it's Rollins versus Shane for the title at WrestleMania. Because that's what everyone wants to see, right? Shane McMahon fighting for the WWE Championship. So that has been in the space of, 4 days? It was Friday he was returning to the Rumble, Saturday he was in the Rumble, Sunday he was a nightmare to work with, and then Monday, Tuesday was trying to insert himself into WrestleMania plans and this, that, and the other. And now we have this new report. So apologies for like the state of this video. I'm doing this in my office. I'm reading things off my laptop here. This is from Ringside News, who, as I said, were the ones who reported that Shane was going to be in the Rumble. They also reported that he was going to be moved to the Raw brand permanently going forward, which again sort of furthers that idea. He wanted to feud with Rollins, and he was going to have a match at the Chamber and at WrestleMania. Here's what they have to say. Ringside News exclusively reported that Shane McMahon was a nightmare as producer of the men's Royal Rumble match. He openly buried Jamie Noble and wanted to book the match around himself. There were ramifications of all that heat. A tenured member of the creative team informed us that writers were told in a, quote, semi-quiet way that, quote, there will be no more creative discussions around Shane McMahon, end quote. They have now, quote, moved on to other creative discussions, end quote. So that being said, Shane McMahon is no longer on Raw, Elimination Chamber, or WrestleMania, where he was previously slated to be part of the Red brand. Vince McMahon's son has not been an employee of WWE for a long time. We were told that he was, quote, supposed to be involved in the XFL, but then COVID hit and the XFL went into bankruptcy, end quote. Shane has not been a WWE employee since he's been back. Vince McMahon also had no choice but to take action against his own son. Apparently, this is in quotes, so I'm going to assume this is what they were sent. Vince had no choice. Shane created chaos, had everyone in an uproar, pissed off everyone in the Rumble, openly buried other producers, and was changing things that Vince wanted. Vince had no other choice but to send him home. Wow, this more I read this, the term blackballed has not been used, but he was, quote, pretty much let go. Vince McMahon is quietly using the term let go to describe the situations. This is all Vince McMahon, and these are terms that he's using with creative. Ringside News continue, we will have to see if Shane McMahon ever makes a return to his father's company, but this run was cut very short. Wow, so Steve Carrier at Ringside News who reported that there. So according to Ringside News, according to Steve Carrier, Shane McMahon has been let go. That is a polite way of saying he was released. Well, you can't say released, he wasn't an employee. So you can't say he was fired either. He has basically just been sent home. We were just having our team meeting that we have on a Wednesday at 2 p.m. where we have all of our American teammates in it as well. And Ollie, I sent this to Ollie. I was like, dude, should we do a breaking news video on this? Apparently Shane McMahon's gone from WWE. And in the meeting, Ollie said, hey, do you remember what one of my big predictions was for 2022? I said, what was it? Because I couldn't remember. And he said, my wild prediction for 2022 was Shane McMahon would be in AEW by the end of the year. And I mean, I'm not saying that Shane McMahon to AEW confirmed, but Ollie and I's predictions, we do our wild and wacky predictions over on the WrestleTalk podcast channel every year. And every year we usually miles off. For this year, though, I've had Mustafa Ali asking for his release and Charlotte versus Ronda as the main event of WrestleMania, already basically come to fruition. The Ali one certainly hasn't. It very much looks like it's Ronda Charlotte for Mania. Could Ollie get Shane McMahon to AEW confirmed as his? So yeah, it's only Ringside News that have got this at the moment. I'm just going to go and check the old Twitter machine to see if Sean has said anything, our good friend Sean Rossap. It was funny, in the meeting we were like, hey, has Sean reported anything yet? And I was like, well, Sean won't be up just yet. And then, of course, Sean will have been up. That man never sleeps. Okay, so Sean hasn't tweeted anything yet. So it is only Ringside News that are reporting this. But they are also the people that have had some pretty accurate stuff around the Rumble. And the actual, they were the ones to first report the heat that he had backstage at the Royal Rumble. And that's since been corroborated by other places, like Dave Meltzer and Wrestling Observer Radio. Take that for what it will. Man. So yeah, Shane McMahon has apparently been let go by WWE. We will stay on this topic and keep an eye on this. If anything else major comes out. It could also not be true whatsoever, and I've just wasted 8.5 minutes of your time. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? What do you think is going on? Let me know in the comments down below, because he only came back on Friday, and 4 days later, or 5 days later, he's apparently out on his ass. So let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of Shane McMahon possibly being let go by WWE? It's a crazy situation. Do you think he'd be AEW confirmed? You let me know in the comments down below. I have been Luke Owen, DAD. Please subscribe to the WrestleTalk News channel, because we do videos like this all the time whenever there are breaking news, daily wrestling news updates and all this sort of good stuff. This is your first time watching. So thanks everyone, and I'll see you later. Jam that jam!